Just a few words about the Black Protest. A Black Protest, such is the general name of all the demonstrations, petitions, and pickets, went on for 6 months and still have been continuing. The story begins on March 14, when the Stop Abortion Committee was officially registered, and the organization behind this effort was the international hardline Catholic group, Ordo Iuris. Outside of the parliament, left-wing groups and women's organizations decided to introduce a counter-initiative in reaction to the one proposal of Ordo Iuris. On May 11th, Save the Women committee began collecting the required 100,000 signatures in support of the draft law entitled On the Right of Women and Conscientious Parenthood, which contained, of course, the full standard of reproductive rights. On September 23rd, both proposals were put before the parliament. Stop Abortion was sent for further proceedings to the Justice and Human Rights Committee, while Save the Women was rejected upon the first reading, despite, of course, 200,000 signatures that the committee had collected. This rejection was the initial cause of the feminist civic awakening and came out after the summer vacation. This wave of activists reached its peak on Black Friday, 3rd October 2016, an event that surpassed its organizers' boldest dreams and expectations. For many hours until late evening, thousands of people stood in protest in pouring rain, hence the umbrella as the demonstration's emblem. On October 6th, the parliament somehow nervously voted to reject the bill proposed by Stop Abortion Committee. At the beginning of 2016, we had in Poland only 18% pro-choice people. At the end of 2018, according to the poll ordered by the Federation, we had 69% of pro-choice people. So during 2 years, it was 3 times more. The Black Protest was a unique time when the hypocrisy was unmasked and rejected. The truth was finally stated, shouted out, in fact, about what it means to live one's life in a country chosen by religious fundamentalists for an experimental battleground, for the first stage of the effort to establish totally patriarchal, re-establish and strengthen totally patriarchal system. According to the official statistics, only 1,050 legal abortions were performed in Poland in 2017. And how many illegal ones? Probably around 100,000, even 150,000. Thanks to pharmacological abortion, abortion migration, and the silence pact of doctors, the general public knows little about the traumatic reality of the underground abortion, of the women who have lost their health or even their lives. Such stories rarely hit the headlines because women who have been put through such trauma don't often have the will and the strength to pursue legal actions or to collaborate with journalists. Right now, the situation is extremely difficult because most of those who are theoretically entitled to a legal termination nonetheless decide to fend for themselves and abort abroad. Women's position vis-à-vis the law and the medical establishment has been deteriorating steadily since 1993. And just last sentence is, what were the women really fighting for in the Black Protest and other pro-choice initiatives of 2016? The answer is, they were fighting for everything. They were fighting for their very lives.
In Poland, in 2016, we had a women's strike, a national women's strike, that was a tremendous and successful mobilization against a total abortion ban in Poland. Which does not mean we don't have problems with regard to reproductive rights, because we have a lot of them. And also, after the mobilization, for example, police entered women's organizations connected to preventing violence. So we cannot speak about, full success, but still the mobilization was successful in that sense that it stopped the total ban. What is important is to understand that 2016 mobilization was intergenerational mobilization. This is first thing. And this is what made it so big and so successful. Second thing, with regards to cross-movement organizing, we could really see inclusiveness in terms of people talking about, from LGBT perspectives, trans people talking about reproductive rights. We could see women with disabilities talking about reproductive rights. We could see sex workers' perspective. As I was mostly involved in women with disabilities activists, I wanted to say a few words about that. So when the mobilization started, we really feared in our organization advocating for the rights of women with disabilities that it will unnecessarily create a divide between disability rights and women's rights, because the women's strike was using ableist language. And also the opponents were co-opting disability in their own way. So what we did in my city, in Krakow, we created a leaflet just saying that, please, when you're having your speeches or slogans, please rethink the way you are tackling disability, because we want to fight patriarchy and ableism at the same moment, right? It is our common struggle. People could not imagine, in fact, a pro-choice disability rights activist. It was not present in the imaginary of the people. So then the dialogue started, and we started to be involved much more into the women's strike. Three basic things I wanted to put now on the table is, first of all, recognition. Women with disabilities are a part of feminist movements, and we need to recognize that, and we see that this is very ambivalent from our experiences, at least in Central Eastern Europe. Secondly, we need to set our mind on accessibility, but not accessibility as a checklist, but accessibility as a set of mind, as an approach, because accessibility creates belonging. Without accessibility, we cannot create participation of women with disabilities in feminist movement. And this means, for example, not only, taking care about sign language or, pavements, but also about, going to an institution when our friends with disabilities leave because they are segregated, and bringing them on so that they can speak on the manifestation. And my third and last point is accessibility is not enough to create a movement that's going to be for reproductive justice and will be for women with disabilities, because we need to reframe our agenda. The situation of women with disabilities in reproductive realm is very much different than so-called able-bodied women, because it tackles coerced abortion, coerced sterilization, putting people into institution, not providing information on their reproductive health, and also many women with disabilities do not enjoy their right to parenthood and to be supported in parenthood. So if we want to create these movements together, if we want to have anti-patriarchal, pro-choice movement, we need to include and reframe our agenda more into reproductive justice, because otherwise we're just gonna not address the issues that are tackling a lot of women with disabilities in Poland, but I also assume worldwide.